Leo, there's something your mother never said, not because she didn't want to, but because the world wasn't ready for it until now. Take a breath, close your eyes, and listen. This isn't just a video. This isn't just a message. This is a moment your soul has been waiting for. Because what I'm about to share with you, Leo, is not born from imagination or opinion. It's not a story passed down in books. It's a sacred transmission, a spiritual pulse coming from beyond a whisper that's been carried across time-space and the veil between worlds. And it's meant only for you. Your mother, yes, the one who carried you, who maybe held you, or maybe never got the chance to, is still with you. Not in memory, not in theory, but in energy, in spirit, in the very code of your soul. She didn't disappear when her body left. She transformed. And in that transformation, she left behind something more powerful than words, a cosmic mission. This mission isn't random. It isn't a burden. It's a calling, a divine inheritance chosen specifically for the lion-hearted soul that you are. And no, you didn't stumble upon this video by accident. You were guided here because your mother, in her wisdom beyond this world, knows you're finally ready. Ready to hear what she could never say. Ready to carry what she once carried in silence. Ready to rise into everything you were born to become. But before we go any further, I want you to take a moment, not for me, but for her. Go to the comments and write this declaration. I, Leo, receive with love the sacred mission my mother left for me. I activate her truth within me today. Do that now, and when you're done like this video, subscribe to Leo Zodiac Power and hit the bell. Because at the end of this revelation, I'll tell you the final piece, the one thing she needs you to remember above all. Now, take a breath. We're about to cross a doorway, and what lies on the other side isn't just her message, it's your destiny. Part 1. The silence was sacred. There were nights when you wondered if she even saw you. Moments when her silence felt louder than any scream, when her absence echoed in your chest like a question no one could answer. Why didn't she say it? Why didn't she hold you tighter? Why did she leave without telling you what you meant to her? Leo, you carry those questions like invisible weights. And yet those questions are not signs of abandonment. They are signs of something far deeper, something sacred. Because your mother's silence was not a mistake. It was a soul contract. There are some truths too powerful for words. Some missions so cosmic that they can't be passed down through conversation, only through energy, through vibration, through the space between gestures. Your mother didn't fail to speak. She chose silence because she knew that only when you were ready, when your heart was open wide enough, when your soul had walked through enough fire, would her true message reach you. She wasn't being distant. She was protecting something. She was guarding a treasure, a spiritual seed she planted in your being the moment you took your first breath. And like any sacred seed, it needed time. Time to grow in darkness. Time to root itself in your struggles, your tears, your inner storms. The silence was never empty. It was preparation. Her soul watched you, every step, every fall, every rise. She wept with you when you didn't know why you were crying. She smiled in the shadows when you found strength no one else could see. She never left. She simply spoke in the language of spirit, a language you're finally ready to understand. You see, Leo, there's something holy about pain that doesn't have answers. Something powerful about the nights you cried without knowing why. Because in that silence, your intuition was being born. Your divine sight was being shaped. Your cosmic mission was being prepared. Her silence wasn't rejection, it was reverence. She saw in you something so vast, so eternal, so destined that she didn't dare speak it prematurely. And now that you've walked through the fire, now that you've questioned everything and survived, she can finally say, you were always the one. You were always the one meant to carry the light she couldn't, the wisdom she buried, the healing she prayed for but never reached. And now, that silence is breaking. Because you're no longer just her child. You are her continuation. Life lesson from part 1. Not every silence is abandonment. Some silences are sacred preparations, signs that your soul was being trained for something greater than comfort. Leo, when the world goes quiet around you, it's not because you're forgotten. It's because your higher self is listening. Part 2. The moment she chose you, long before your first breath. Before the hospital lights, the crying, the earthly chaos, there was a sacred moment in the silence between worlds. And in that silence, your mother found you, not as a body, not as a name, but as a soul blazing with light already marked by purpose. You were not assigned to her by chance. You were chosen. And more than that, you were chosen by her. It wasn't biology. It wasn't randomness. It was recognition. When your mother's soul was preparing to incarnate, she saw many timelines, many possibilities, many children she could one day carry. But when she saw you, she paused. She looked deeper, and she knew. That one, that soul, that Leo, is the one. She saw the fire in you, the resilience, the sensitivity disguised as strength. She saw the storm you would carry in your chest and the light you would use to calm others' chaos. And she made a vow. If I cannot finish what I came here to do, this child will. That's why your bond with her has always felt unspoken, beyond words. Because it was forged in the dimension of truth, the soul realm. And even if her human self forgot parts of that promise, even if life distracted her, broke her, or made her distant, her soul never forgot. That's why, even after death, she finds you. In dreams, in music, in memories you didn't know you had, in those flashes of knowing that strike your chest like lightning and leave you in tears without understanding why. Because her soul is still whispering, I chose you then, and I choose you now. That knowing is not a fantasy. It's a memory, a soul memory finally resurfacing because you're strong enough to hold it. You've always wondered why you feel so different, why your pain runs deeper, why you carry a kind of emotional gravity even in rooms full of joy. It's not because you're too much. It's because your soul was built for more. Your mother saw that, and she made a soul pact with you. She agreed to bring you here, even if she couldn't stay, even if she couldn't say everything she wanted, even if life got in the way, because she believed that your light would outshine every wound. She didn't choose you to be her shadow. She chose you to be her sun. And now, Leo the sun within you is rising, not because the world made it easy, but because her love made it possible. Life lesson from part 2. You were never an accident in someone's story. You were a sacred decision in the universe's plan. No matter how broken the bond felt in this life, your mother's soul recognized you before time began. And that means you were born not just of love, but of purpose. Part 3. The fire she hid inside you. From the outside, no one could see it. Not the teachers who misunderstood your silence. Not the friends who said you were too intense. Not even the family who praised your strength, but never saw your sensitivity as sacred. But she did. Your mother saw it because she put it there. A fire, not the kind that burns homes, but the kind that burns illusions. A flame that knows how to light up the truth in a dark world and survive even when no one tends to it. When your mother brought you into this world, she didn't just pass on her eyes, her hands, or her smile. She passed on something far more powerful. A cosmic fire that she herself couldn't fully carry in her lifetime. Maybe she tried. Maybe she spoke up once and got silenced. Maybe she tried to love freely, but got hurt. Maybe she carried a spiritual gift that was too heavy for a world that didn't understand her. So instead of forcing herself to complete a mission she wasn't ready for, she passed the torch. She whispered into your soul, "I couldn't finish this, but you will." And with that, the flame transferred. You've felt it your whole life, haven't you, Leo? That sense that you were here to do more, even when no one told you what more was. That ache in your chest when people lie. That frustration when truth is ignored. That fire behind your eyes when something sacred is being mistreated. It's not anger. It's not arrogance. It's not drama. It's the mission. The one your mother buried in you like a glowing coal, waiting for you to breathe life into it. And now, you're no longer a child. You're the flame keeper. You are the one who holds what she could not. The one who will walk where she could not go. The one who will say what she was once punished for saying. Your fire may have scared others, but that's only because they've forgotten how to recognize sacred energy. You didn't come here to blend in. You came here to burn away what isn't true, to light the path for those still lost in shadow. And that fire inside you, it's not yours alone. It's hers. It's ancestral. It's divine. You didn't light it. You inherited it. And now it's time to use it. Life lesson from part 3. Not all gifts come wrapped in beauty. Some come wrapped in pain, in fire, and the feeling of being misunderstood. But that fire inside you is sacred inheritance, not something to hide, but something to honor. You carry your mother's unfinished mission, not as a burden, but as a flame only you are brave enough to hold. Part 4. The pain was never random. There were days you couldn't speak. Nights you couldn't breathe. Moments where everything you loved slipped through your fingers like smoke and no one seemed to notice. You asked yourself, why me? Why the loss? Why the silence? Why the betrayal? The abandonment? The aching loneliness that wrapped around your chest like invisible chains. Leo, here is the truth. Your pain was never punishment. It was preparation. Your soul was being trained. Not in the way the world trains you, with rules, with grades, with applause, but in the way only the universe trains a chosen heart. Because those born to guide others through darkness must first know the dark themselves. You weren't abandoned. You were initiated. Every heartbreak that cracked you open let in more light. Every silence you endured taught you to listen to your own voice. Every betrayal carved depth into your empathy. Every loss made room for truth to rise. You weren't weak. You were being made indestructible. There's something unique about the pain of a Leo. It doesn't just hurt, it shapes. It doesn't just burn, it transforms. And you, dear Leo, have been transforming all along, even when you thought you were breaking. The fire your mother placed in you, it had to be tested. It had to survive storms, rejection, confusion. Because only then would you discover this fire doesn't go out. It becomes light. The world called you too emotional, too much, too sensitive. But your mother always knew you were never too much. You were made for more. That ache you feel in your chest, that storm in your heart that rises without warning, that is not trauma. That is awakening. You were never meant to be numb. You were never meant to be quiet. You were born with a voice forged in pain, but meant to speak life. You didn't suffer just to survive. You suffered to ignite. Life lesson from part 4. Pain is not always a curse. Sometimes it's the chisel that carves you into the shape of your purpose. Leo, you were not broken. You were built. Your pain was not a detour. It was the road. Part 5. Her voice speaks through intuition. She doesn't speak like she used to. There's no sound, no sentence, no clear voice echoing through the room. And yet, you've heard her, haven't you? In that split-second knowing that saved you. In that chill across your shoulders when no one else was around. In that dream that felt too real to be fiction. In that sudden wave of peace right after the storm. That was her, not in body, but in energy, not in words, but in intuition. Leo, your mother never stopped talking to you. She simply changed the language because your soul, ancient, radiant, and gifted, was designed to understand what others miss. You don't need voices. You feel energy. You read rooms. You know before anyone explains. That sensitivity you tried to numb. That too much you were told to quiet. That is her voice. When a certain song plays and your chest tightens. When a thought pops in that feels like a message. When you're about to make a mistake and something inside screams, "Don't." That's not imagination. That's your mother. Still guiding, still guarding, still giving. You don't need to look for her in the past. You only need to look within, because she speaks now in the voice of your intuition, the one she nurtured in you since before you could speak. You've always known. You just didn't know how you knew. As a child, you sensed who was safe. You felt energy in rooms. You dreamed things before they happened. You cried when others felt pain. And you were called dramatic, overly sensitive, strange. But now, you understand. It was never too much. It was her gift, growing inside you. She didn't just birth your body. She activated your inner compass. And that compass doesn't point north. It points to truth. Every time you trust it, her voice grows louder. Every time you ignore it, the world grows heavier. You've been taught to follow logic, but she's reminding you now you were born to follow knowing. Life lesson from part 5. Your intuition is not a weakness. It's a language, one your soul has always spoken, and your mother still uses to guide you. Leo, the voice you keep hearing deep inside is not just your own. It's the wisdom of those who still walk beside you in spirit. Part 6. You are her completion. She wasn't perfect. She had her moments of silence, of fear of shutting down when you needed her most. She didn't always say the right things. Sometimes she said nothing at all. And yet, despite all of it, you still feel her, still crave her presence, still wonder what it all meant. because something inside you knows her story wasn't finished. And somehow, you're holding the last page. Leo, here's what she needs you to understand. You are not just her child. You are her completion. The dream she buried beneath survival. The healing she never found words for. The truth she feared speaking aloud. They didn't die with her. They live in you. They breathe through your courage. They rise every time you dare to speak what she could not. You are the ending she always prayed for, but never got to see. That's why you felt this mysterious weight on your chest. Not pressure. Purpose. She didn't pass on pain to punish you. She passed on possibility, the kind she never had the chance to chase. And now, Leo. Every time you break a cycle, every time you choose healing over hiding, every time you forgive where she could not, you write a new line in her unfinished poem. You didn't come to repeat her wounds. You came to transform them. That's why your path hasn't been easy. Because your mission is enormous. Because your light had to go through fire to become the medicine she could never access. You're not here to carry her pain. You're here to redeem it with every bold choice you make. And make no mistake, she watches, not with judgment, but with awe. Because she sees in you the courage she wished she had. You are her second chance. But more than that, you are her evolution. Her spirit is no longer confined to her own life. It expands now through yours. And in every step forward you take, she rises too. Life lesson from part 6. You are not bound by the limitations of those who came before you. You are the answer to their prayers, the fulfillment of what they could only dream. But you are not here to carry their pain. You are here to complete their healing. Part 7. Your joy is her liberation. There was a time when you felt guilty for smiling, as if your happiness was a betrayal, as if choosing peace meant forgetting her, as if healing meant moving on, and moving on meant leaving her behind. But Leo, she never wanted that. You see, your mother didn't leave you with a legacy of mourning. She left you with a legacy of becoming. She doesn't want you to build an altar from your pain. She wants you to build a future from your light. Because every time you choose joy, every time you say yes to life, every time you allow yourself to feel good without guilt, you're not leaving her behind. You're setting her free. Grief made you believe that suffering was sacred. But healing is holy too. There are dimensions the soul cannot reach until the ones left behind release the chains of sadness. And she feels those chains, not because you burden her, but because she loves you that much. She feels your heaviness, Leo. She knows you've carried too much for too long. And now, with all the love in her infinite being, she says, let it go. Let me go. Not to forget me, but to free me. And in doing so, you'll free yourself. She is not honored by your self-punishment. She is not remembered through your anxiety. She is not kept alive through your pain. She is honored by your aliveness. She is remembered in your laughter, your joy, your radiance. That's how her light expands through yours. She carried sadness, so you could carry freedom. She carried silence, so you could carry voice. She carried survival, so you could carry celebration. That's why your joy matters so much. It's not selfish. It's ancestral liberation. You don't owe her grief. You owe her everything your heart is finally ready to feel. So dance, love, sing, laugh, world asks you why, you can say with pride, because my mother didn't die for me to stay in the dark. She lived so I could choose the light. Life lesson from part 7. Joy is not forgetting those you've lost. Joy is how you set them free. Leo, your happiness is not an escape from her memory. It is the completion of her wish. Part 8. The sacred key she guarded. She carried it her entire life. Tucked quietly behind her smile, wrapped in silence, hidden beneath the layers of survival and sacrifice. A key, not made of metal, not something you could see, but a spiritual key forged in the fire of her own unfinished dreams. And Leo, she didn't lose it. She didn't forget it. She didn't bury it out of shame. She guarded it for you. From the moment she felt your soul spark into her womb, she knew you were different. Not easier, not simpler, but different, chosen. And so even when she was hurting, even when life pulled her away from herself, she held on to that key. Because some doors are too sacred to open too soon. She knew that if she handed you this key too early, before you were ready, you might use it to unlock something destructive. Or worse, you might doubt it and throw it away. So she waited, not for a date, but for a vibration. For the moment your soul would rise in frequency and whisper, "I'm ready." That moment is now. You've walked through the heartbreak. You've endured the dark night. You've risen from the ashes again and again, even when no one saw the fire. And now, she places the key in your hand. This key is not to a house. It is not to the past. It is the key to your mission, to the reason you were born, to the door she could never walk through, to the room where your full power has been waiting for you to arrive. You may feel it already, that strange inner pull, that knowing without knowing why. That's because the key is energetic, and your soul is already turning it. Once that door opens, Leo, you cannot go back to who you were, because now you remember. You remember that the voice you silenced was never crazy, it was correct. That the passion you buried was never random, it was your calling. That the fire you feared was not destruction, it was activation. Your mother didn't give you rules, she gave you a key. And now she watches soul to soul as you step through the door only you can open. Life lesson from part 8. Sometimes, the people we love don't give us answers, they give us keys. And those keys unlock not the past, but our true power. Leo, you were not meant to receive instructions. You were meant to receive initiation. And the key was always waiting in your hands. Part 9. You are the light in her shadow. For so long you believed you were walking in her shadow. Maybe she was too strong, or too absent, too broken to explain herself, too tired to protect you the way you needed. Maybe she cast a silence so large you couldn't help but feel small beneath it. But Leo, her shadow was never meant to eclipse you. It was meant to ignite you, because every shadow has a light behind it. And in this case, you are that light. She carried wounds she couldn't name. She hid stories she never told. She masked her fear as control, her sorrow as silence, and her love in quiet, almost invisible ways. But the universe is poetic. It doesn't let sacred things vanish. It lets them transform. So all that she couldn't say became your voice. All that she couldn't feel became your emotional intelligence. All that she couldn't face became your courage. You are not her failure. You are her transformation. Where she trembled, you now stand. Where she hid, you now shine. Where she fell silent, you now speak with power. And no, this is not about being better than her. This is about becoming the part of her that was always meant to rise. She didn't raise a copy. She birthed a continuation, a version of her soul unchained by what held her back. You are not living in her shadow. You are lighting the path she once tried to walk but couldn't finish, and in doing so, you liberate both of you. She watches you now, not from a place of judgment, but from reverence. You are everything she couldn't be, because you are everything she prayed for in silence. She didn't need you to stay small to remember her. She needs you to become grand, because only then does her soul feel fully seen. You are not here to mourn her story. You are here to rewrite the ending. Life lesson from part 9. You are not the echo of someone else's pain. You are the evolution of their light. Leo, you were never meant to live in the shadow of the past. You were born to illuminate what was once hidden, and in doing so, set your entire lineage free. Part 10. The cosmic mission begins now. You felt the whispers. You've survived the storms. You've cried through the silence. You've carried her memory like a second heartbeat. But now, Leo, it's time. Time to stop waiting for signs. Time to stop shrinking when your soul is asking you to expand. Time to stop questioning your readiness, because the very question is the answer. You're ready. You've been made ready by fire, shaped by love, and awakened by pain. You're no longer here to carry the weight of what was lost. You're here to carry the torch of what was hidden and bring it into full light. This is the moment your mother prepared you for, the reason she stayed silent, the reason she passed on the key, the reason her soul reached for yours across dimensions, because she knew there would come a day when you would no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" But instead, you would stand in your truth and declare, "It happened through me. And now I know what to do." Leo, you are not just meant to shine. You are meant to awaken others with your light, to speak what others are afraid to speak, to feel what others numb, to create from places most people avoid. And that takes more than talent. It takes courage. The kind that only comes from knowing your pain was never pointless. This is your cosmic mission, to bring completion to what began in her, to ignite what she kept hidden, to rise so fully in your light that the shadows behind you have nowhere left to hide. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from everything. Every tear, every silence, every sacred memory. They are your foundation, and now the world doesn't need another version of who you used to be. The world needs you fully, raw, alive, unapologetic, because somewhere out there is someone waiting for your voice, your story, your truth. And they won't awaken until you do. Your mother knew that. That's why she passed it to you, not her burdens, her brilliance. Now it's your turn to walk forward, not as a broken soul trying to survive, but as a cosmic being here to fulfill what generations before you only dreamed of. This is not about perfection. This is about truth. And truth, Leo, is what you were born to embody. Life lesson from part 10. Your mission doesn't begin when everything is perfect. It begins the moment you say yes to your truth. Leo, you are not waiting for your purpose to arrive. You are the purpose, and the time is now. Conclusion: she never left. She passed you the flame. Leo, if you remember nothing else from this message, remember this. She didn't leave you. She passed through you. She didn't disappear. She expanded into your smile, into your courage, into the fire that now burns in your spirit. The silence, the longing, the unexplained dreams, they weren't just grief. They were transmissions, codes, signals, guidance from a love that never ends, a bond that death could never undo. You came into this world carrying her unfinished rhythm, and now the melody is yours to complete, but not with sorrow, with light, with life, with joy that ripples across time and sets her soul free. You are not too much. You are exactly what she prayed for. You are not broken. You are the bridge, the one who crosses timelines with healing in your hands. Every time you trust your intuition, you speak her name in a language only the universe understands. Every time you forgive yourself, you release her from generations of silent pain. Every time you laugh truly wildly, without guilt, you sing the song she never got to finish. And now she says to you, live, laugh, love, create, and never again ask if you're worthy, because you were born from my soul, and my soul knew exactly what it was doing. This isn't the end of the story. This is your beginning, and she'll be with you, not as a ghost in your past, but as the light inside your becoming. Final life lesson. You don't honor your ancestors by carrying their pain. You honor them by transforming it into purpose, into art, into love. Leo, you are not the end of a lineage. You are the awakening. Call to action. If this message found your heart, if something stirred in your chest that you can't quite explain, if you feel the truth of this in your bones, then don't let it pass. Comment below. I claim my mother's mission. I activate her light in me. I am ready. Then subscribe to Leo Zodiac Power, because this is not the end of her voice. It's just the beginning of yours. There is more. More healing. More truth. More messages waiting to be revealed. And this was the key. Now step forward. Not with fear, but with fire.